Here are the headlines. Carlos Sainz, arguably one of the best drivers on the grid right now, with about 5 pole positions and 3 race wins, does not have a seat for next year. So what happened? In 2021, Carlos Sainz joined the Scuderia Ferrari. He claimed to win in the Silverstone Grand Prix of 2022, then went on to be the only non-Red Bull driver to claim a win in 2023, and has already won in 2024 right after an appendix surgery. The Spaniard is clearly formidable. However, Lewis Hamilton has been set to replace him in 2025. Fred Vasseur said that this was a strategic move because they want to combine youth and experience. So Charles Leclerc at the age of 26 combined with the 7-time world champion of Lewis Hamilton will definitely be a brilliant mix for the team. That leaves Carlos Sainz with a very big decision to make, and it is going to be a challenge for him to think about this while also competing for the Scuderia for the rest of this year. So let's talk about his future options, because right now they don't look too good. These cars are usually at the back of the grid and arguably being the same level as Charles Leclerc, claiming quite a few brilliant race wins, often competing at the very front of the race, sometimes even for wins, and generally for podiums, securing many this season. It is true that he does not deserve a car that will compete at the back of the grid. However, given that the driver shuffle up has been set for 2025, most seats are decided and that leaves him with very few options. So let's talk through this. The number one option he has right now is Audi, set to become the full Audi works team in 2026. He has a family link for this because his father drove for Audi in the World Rally Dakar Championship and won Audi the championship, making it a very suitable option for him. Sauber right now have 0 points and their car is easily the worst on the grid, and their pit stops do not have the best reputation. Sauber's not a good team at all. However, with a complete overhaul coming in 2026 from a brand new works team, as well as engine regulations changing, well, God knows what could happen in the future. Maybe they'd go right to the top, or at least they could be competing for podiums, possibly wins every single race. This is definitely more favourable than other options, because right now, no other team is to be overhauled by a completely different works team than the next few years. But let's talk other options anyways. The number 2 option he has is Williams, and this is because Alex Albon needs a teammate now. Logan Sargent is probably not going to stay next year, given his weak performance this year only gathering a few points. 2 very capable drivers like Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz will be suitable for a team set to improve. We can see growth in the way that they're doing it because they're now actually competing for more points every single race, including Alex Albon's P9 in the most recent Silverstone Grand Prix. James Vowles and the rest of the Williams team is very keen on having Carlos Sainz as part of their lineup. He would be less confident in Williams improving because there is no overhaul coming for the future except for the engine regulations that will affect all teams. So why should he believe in James Vowles and why should he believe in the car? Carlos Sainz, a multi-race winner and someone who's fighting for podiums and wins every single race, should not be competing at the back of the grid. Another option for him is actually Mercedes. Now this seems like a very clear option. Hamilton has moved from Mercedes to Ferrari, and so he could just do a direct swap with Hamilton, going to Mercedes and being George Russell's teammate. Why not? Well, it's because Mercedes, and by Mercedes I mainly mean Toto Wolff, has been fixed on a 17-year-old competing in F2. That is Kimi Antonelli. Kimi Antonelli has been competing excellently in Formula 2, recently securing a sprint race win in the latest Silverstone Grand Prix. Let's have a look at some other examples like Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, and arguably Logan Sargent, who are quite good in Formula 2 but got rushed to Formula 1 very quickly and could not compete with the car against more experienced drivers. They didn't have enough time in the Formula 2 championship, they were very weak in F1, they didn't get to live out their full potential. Reasonably, Mercedes should put him in another Mercedes engine car that is not their own, or give him some more time in Formula 2. Kimi Antonelli has had some chances to practice in the Mercedes car this season. Carlos Sainz has not, because he is still driving for the Scuderia, making it more tricky for Carlos to get into the car than for Kimi. However, Toto still knows that Kimi is a 17-year-old and may decide at the end of the season to just keep him in Formula 2 and give him some more time to develop with that car. Or perhaps put him in Williams. Alpine is also a great option for Carlos Sainz. With the reintroduction of Flavio Briatore, the team seems to be doing better than ever before. Flavio isn't the most liked person because of his history causing a safety crash in 2008, so that another one of his drivers could benefit from this. He's not come back as team principal but as executive advisor, which is basically de facto team principal. Flavio Briatore and Carlos Sainz Sr. have been seen in talks recently. They were also seen exchanging phone numbers. Carlos Sainz may move to Alpine because of the car's recent massive improvement from the very back of the grid to now competing for points every single race. This has obviously been the exception for Silverstone, where one of the cars had to retire and the other did not get any points. With Esteban Ocon set to depart the team at the end of 2024, Carlos Sainz seems like a great option to pair Pierre Gasly. Alpine would promise more development on their car going forward, which seems to be working well now, meaning that he could compete for points, but unfortunately I don't think it would mean he'll compete for podiums if they stick with the French Renault engine. If they were to change it out in the future, which they've reported plans to do so, then I expect huge improvement to the car. They could go with a Mercedes or a Ferrari engine, and with such improvement, Carlos Sainz would be very appealed by this choice. With Red Bull Sergio Perez being worse than Haas driver Nico Hülkenberg in terms of points for the last few races, if Sergio Perez was to get dropped, regardless of his contract extension, if he's not meeting the clauses in his contract, he could get dropped by the end of the season and Carlos Sainz could go into Red Bull. This is dangerous, however, because Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen were teammates at the Red Bull driver program, where Max Verstappen was clearly the dominant driver. However, now Carlos Sainz is an excellent driver, but he is also a bit feisty on track and looks to be the number one driver somewhere else. The team principal Christian Horner fears that Carlos may interrupt in Max Verstappen's clear dominance. Carlos Sainz Sr. and Jos Verstappen, fathers of both drivers, don't have the best history. The last thing a team principal wants is for family issues to get involved, the fathers of both disrupting how the performance on track is. Team RB is technically an option, but right now it looks very unlikely, with Liam Lawson and Daniel Ricciardo both possibilities for that seat. So that is everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I've explained all of Carlos Sainz's options right now, but we are still very uncertain on where he'll go. I'll post a video as soon as Carlos Sainz signs a contract, what it means for him in the future, and what it could imply for other teams in the coming years. But hopefully we see a Carlos Sainz contract signed soon, because if he's not signed it within I predict the next few months, well, he could just be driving the safety car, which is not the best thing for one of the most talented drivers on the grid right now. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayan, and I'll see you in the next grid meetup. That sounds weird. I'll just say I'm going to see you in the next one.